Perhaps I might offer a word of thanks that the Super Bowl isn't until 6 o'clock. It's amazing how crowds at 10 o'clock diminish when the Super Bowl starts earlier than that. I know who my competitors are. It's always good to know where your competitors are. This little story of Jesus being taken to the temple to be presented as the firstborn, a special child, the Holy One, comes about as a result of all the competitive gods that there were in the time of Jesus. This was not a monolithic culture. The Jews tended to be, but certainly they lived in the midst of myriad gods and understandings of those things that would carry us into the divine presence of the holy. So you always need to know where your competitors are. And so this child is presented to God, lest there be any confusion later on. Remember when Paul went to Athens, that little story that he sees all these statues to the gods. And he even finds a statue that is to the unknown God. That was put there in case they missed somebody. And in ancient Greece, you didn't want to miss one of the gods. Now, I say all of that because we live in a time where there are also myriad altars and myriad places to worship. I don't mean churches. I don't mean other religions. I mean those things that will draw us to themselves in ways that will not free us, because they have godlike powers over us. They're no mystery. They're no mystery, these gods that take us over. The gods of the collective, which are all around us, the gods of culture, tell us what to wear, how to behave. Make sure that you get as much money as you can out of your lifetime. I've said this before, I think, in a sermon, because it's such a good quote. John Jacob Astor, who was a very wealthy man in his day, he would only be a millionaire today. But in his day, he was very wealthy, and he was asked, Mr. Astor, how much is enough money, do you think? And his response revealed the ground of one of the gods where we still worship. Just a little more. Just a little more. That has seeped into our consciousness with the same power of God. Now, you may not believe that. You may not believe that I'm suggesting that the collective consciousness that we absorb is as powerful as God, or I'm suggesting for some even more powerful than God. We are always being offered on the altar of some God other than God. We live in a country so caught up with the God of money and greed and position that apparently we haven't noticed. We, the Christian nation that we like to call ourselves, that I looked it up to be sure I was right, 21% of the children in the United States of America live in poverty. 21%. 8% of those children live in what is called extreme poverty. Extreme poverty is the same measure across the globe, where a person lives on $2 a day. You think that doesn't happen here? Now, what I'm saying is when we are busy worshiping at the feet of the gods of culture, we overlook the power that those gods hold over us. And then we have to find a way back to what we just sang about, the God of light. In you there is no darkness at all. But we have to keep finding our way back to the light. We don't live in a culture that helps us do that. It's part of why we come here. Not the only reason, part of why we come here. To be reminded that we are trying to follow the light in a world of darkness. That great theologian Bob Dylan said it best. He is a great theologian. He's saying everybody serves somebody. Maybe the devil, maybe the Lord, but everybody serves somebody. And it's the truth. Everybody serves somebody. And when Jesus is brought into the temple, his parents are pulling him away from all of the other gods and offering him to the one God in hopes that he would live into that, which of course it did. And Jesus lived into that and discovered that to stand in the way of the gods of his own day, what's his name? Herod, wasn't a Pharaoh. Herod, Pontius Pilate, the Romans, to stand in their way meant that you're going to die. Do you understand how powerful the gods around us are? Many people, if they stand in the way of them, die. If they don't die, in fact, they die internally. And we begin to wither. And we become like another song. I guess I'm onto the music today. I'm not singing them though. Peggy Lee, back in 1969, recorded a song. Is that all there is? You remember that song, some of you. Is that all there is to life? She says when she was 12 in the song, the house burned down and in all the excitement, and she remembers thinking, is that all there is to having a house? Daddy took me to the circus, she says. And the animals and the elephants and the tigers and the acrobats. You remember this song. And she watched with great excitement, and then it was over, and she sang, is that all there is to a circus? And towards the end of the song, she says, people say, then why don't you just give it up? Why don't you end it all? And she says, no, because there will be something else. But meanwhile, bring on the dancing, bring on the booze. There might be something else. But she ends, is that all there is to life? Now, the reason I go all the way through that song is to say that's where the collective gods leave us at the end of life. Is that all there was? Is that all there is? I worry about this culture, this society that we live in. I worry about what it's becoming. I worry about how powerful the gods of greed, money, power, position, how powerful they've become, and how easy it is for folks like us here gathering in this little worship space, how we can keep our own soul in the face of all that. But I must tell you this, it's the most important work you have to do. Keep your soul, because the gods around us will eat your soul and leave you singing the same song. Is that all there was? No, that's not all there was. That's not all there is. There's life that God has given you to be lived to the fullest and teaches us. When we listen to the inner voice of the Christ within, teaches us how to make life good. How to make life good when there's so much bad. So many things going wrong before our eyes. There's too many of us not paying attention anymore. We need to pay attention. Our soul is on the line. Amen.
Great is thy faithfulness, O God my Father. There is no shadow of turning with thee. Thou changest not, thy compassion they fail not. As thou hast been, thou forever will be. Great is thy faithfulness, great is thy faithfulness. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, thy hands have provided. Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me.
Go now in peace to love and serve the Lord.
Thanks be to God.